Welcome to We Learn. This is session 7 of Organization Dynamics. Today we are going to cover different topics like what is culture in system, the influence of culture on behavior, national culture, what is organizational corporate culture. Then we will first further discuss about the factors of corporate culture that have an impact on the information system, corporate culture classification, decision management with information system. Then further we will discuss the different dimensions that are used in the decision making. Personality traits of the leader will be discussed in today's session. Then we will discuss the types of organization structure, management and organization development. Then leadership behavior and style will be the part of session. So the first topic of today's session is what is culture in the system. The totality of shared meaning and interpretation of a given group who share the same culture is basically defined as a culture in the system. Means culture is basically defined by the group which follow certain meanings and interpretation within the same organization. और अगर आपको कल्चर को इम्प्लीमेंट करना है तो दिस इज द मस्ट कंडीशन दैट दिस कल्चर मस्ट बी कम्युनिकेटेड एट डिफरेंट लेवल्स ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. Culture is what basically it is the collection of the things, ideas, techniques, including institutions that society needs to persist. Culture basically contains an idea of how things should be and how its members are expected to behave. So the behavior of a person of an organization can be derived from the culture of that organization. As a whole, the culture can be defined as a value concept because culture reflects the ethics as well as the morality in terms of decency, honesty. Religion is considered as a subset of the culture because culture is a universal ingredient of human existence. Culture is necessary ingredient of all other communities and societies. डिफरेंट कम्युनिटीज़ डिफरेंट सोसाइटी में कल्चर को एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पैरामीटर माना जाता है उस पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी के कुछ पैरामीटर्स को रिफ्लेक्ट करने के लिए. अ कल्चर कैन बी थॉट ऑफ एज ए प्रोवाइड्स हेल्प्स टू टेक द थिंग्स एंड एक्शन एज ए नॉर्मल दैट अदरवाइज अपीयर्स टू बी रिपल्सिव एंड एंडलेस. कुछ वो चीज़ें होती हैं जो हमारे नेशनल लेवल पे रिपल्शन क्रिएट करते हैं या हम कह सकते हैं उसको रेजिस्टेंस क्रिएट करते हैं जिसको कंट्रोल करना नॉर्मली पॉसिबल नहीं होता है. बट बाय इंक्लूडिंग दैट पैरामीटर जिसके रिगार्डिंग रेजिस्टेंस क्रिएट हो रहा है आप उसको अगर कल्चर में इंट्रोड्यूस कर देंगे वेदर इट्स अ नेशनल कल्चर, इंटरनेशनल कल्चर और कॉर्पोरेट कल्चर, then that resistance can be converted into the acceptance of that organization. So inside the working organization, as in all areas of human activity, the behavior of the people is basically affected by the values and attitude that they hold. So एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के या एक कंट्री लेवल पे अगर हम बात करें तो पीपल्स का या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पीपल का वैल्यूज़ और एटीट्यूड कहाँ से डिराइव किया जा सकता है. Yes, of course, the answer is culture. So the collective pattern of behavior are important parts of the culture of the work group or nation which form a backdrop against which values and attitudes are in turn developed. Now look at this diagram. This diagram is basically reflecting the influence of the culture on the behavior because culture gives rise to the values, or in other words we can say that the values are basically derived from the culture, and from the values attitude is developed, and attitude basically give rise to the behavior of that organization. So actually the culture is actually responsible for building the behavior of the organization. In decision making, information is a prerequisite and the decision making process is deeply affected by the culture. So the culture has a critical impact on the selection, analysis and design of the information system. The first step for the information system designer has to be a study of the organization's culture. National culture. Now, let us discuss something about the national culture. National culture is basically used to generate similar success national culture because national culture is adopted. National culture has its own values, impact on the corporate culture. Now, let us have an idea that normally an information system, why it is required at the management side. So, information system is basically required to reduce the uncertainty. Now, let us discuss that what is organization or corporate culture. Corporate culture basically enhances the performance and it increases the productivity, and it is widely shared and strongly held values that underline and define an organization's culture. It is basically defined as a pattern of shared values and beliefs that help the individual to understand organization's functioning and thus provide them with the norms for behavior in the organization. So basically, the culture can also provide a key to understand the issues such as why things happen the way they do, and in understanding organization climate as what happened around here. Culture can be determined by the values, assumptions, and interpretation of the organization's member. Corporate culture is an important predictor. I am using the word predictor. Yes, it is true. The corporate culture act as a predictor of organization's capabilities and outcome such as customer orientation and new product development. So the success of an organization's strategy basically depends to a significant extent on the culture of the organization. Culture is the light of the strategic management paradigm. For an organization's culture to provide sustained competitive advantages, it must add values, it must be unique and be difficult to copy by the competitors. Based on the corporate culture with respect to the information system adoption, the organization may utilize information system for internal and external consumption. For that purpose, a network of computer is required for global applications like database management system, ERP, and many other information system applications. E-business, electronic business take place with inter-organizational connectivity, and this can be done with its exchange partners such as its customer, which include order taking, order process, order payment, dispatch order, tech and tracking, and after sales customer support. All these things are the part of e-business. There are different factors of corporate culture that have an impact on the information system. So the extent of information system applications includes the extent to which an organization applies IT to making, implementing and evaluating organizational decisions. User participation. Another factor which can affect the information system is user participation. Taking part in some activities like in design and implementation phase, user participation promotes greater user acceptance. More user participation means more trust will be in the success of the project. So increasing participation ratio means increases the chances of being success of a particular project. Ease of the use by the user. Yes, it is true that if the information system usage is easy at the end of the user, then it will be highly accepted by the user. Perceived usefulness. It is the degree to which a person believes that using a particular system would enhance his or her performance in terms of accuracy, security, network speed, user friendliness, user participation and convenience. All these parameters helps to get the faith towards the information system. Adoption diffusion. It means understanding that how the users form perception of an IT innovation would help the designers, implementers and users in their evaluation, selection, implementation and ongoing use of the IT. Top management support and organizational size are positively associated with the diffusion. Corporate culture can be classified as bet your company organizations, tough guy competition or organization, work hard, play hard organization, and process. These are the four kinds of groups which have managed their own kind of culture. Next is decision management with information system. Decision making is the process of selecting a course of action among the multiple alternatives. जब आपके पास बहुत सारे alternatives अवेलेबल होते हैं तो आपको उन बहुत सारे अवेलेबल alternatives में से एक चूज करना होता है. Then that situation basically requires the decision making process. For example, exam, shopping, medical decision making, which is based on the diagnosis, deciding what to eat and deciding whom or what to vote for is an election. So decision making is said to be a psychological construct that we can never see a decision we can get from observable features or behavior that a decision has been made. हम कुछ ऑब्जर्वेबल फीचर्स को आइडेंटिफाई करके ये समझ सकते हैं कि डिसीजन हुआ है, नहीं हुआ है, ठीक है, नहीं है ठीक. ये सब साइकोलॉजिकल कंस्ट्रक्ट्स का पार्ट है. एक्सपर्ट्स समटाइम यूज द इंट्यूटिव डिसीजन मेकिंग रादर देन द स्ट्रक्चर्ड अप्रोचेस. Politics is one approach to the decision making in the groups. Politics plays a very important role in the decision making. So basically, the decision making is based on four dimensions. First is thinking and feeling. Next is extroversion and introversion. Third is judgment and perception. Fourth is sensing and intuition. These dimensions would tend to have a logical, analytical, objective, critical, and empirical decision making style. Now let us discuss about the types of organization structure. An organization structure basically specifies the various job tasks and shows how the same are formally divided, grouped, and coordinated. It provides an appropriate framework for authority relationship. एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्ट्रक्चर जो है एक प्रॉपर अथॉरिटी रिलेशनशिप को रिफ्लेक्ट करता है. It indicates the hierarchy of authority and reporting relationship, that who is working under whom and how the flow of authority is moving from one part of the organization to the other part of the organization. This can be reflected by having a proper organizational structures. Now, the management and organization development. Today's managers basically realize that the traditional organization structure that are based on to the bureaucratic principle no longer can provide the solution to the challenges that are posed by the new paradigm or environment. The needs of flexibility, adaptability to change, creativity, innovation, knowledge, and the ability to overcome environmental uncertainties are among the biggest challenge facing many of the organization. The result has been that the vertical structures are being replaced by the horizontal structures. The organization with mechanistic structure are being transformed into ones with the organic structure. Leadership behavior and style. Behavior basically refers to the way a person acts, reacts or conduct himself. आप किस तरह से एक्शन रिएक्शन करते हैं अपने आप से, दूसरों से, किस तरह का बिहेवियर कंडक्ट करते हैं, ये सब चीज़ कलेक्टिवली आपके बिहेवियर को या किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के बिहेवियर को रिफ्लेक्ट करता है. सिचुएशनल लीडरशिप. Here comes the role of situational leadership, that by the use of authority by the leader, we can differently use the leadership style to tackle different situation. Now let us discuss some personality traits of the leaders. What are the traits that are supposed to be there in a leader? The first thing is honesty. Second is competence. Third is credibility, inspiring, courageous, and forward looking. The leader should have all these 6 parameters to be a leader. Everything is there and honesty is missing. That leader cannot be a good leader. Right? So, all these things are important to be a leader. Now, our members are expected to play different roles as a coordinator. As a coordinator, shaper, plant, monitor, implementer, resource investigator, team worker, and finisher. They all are the roles that are expected to be played by different members of the same organization. So, before we end, there is a do it yourself exercise, and according to this exercise, you have to attempt 2 questions. And the first question is about the management and organization development, and second is about the define culture with respect to the organization. For these 2 questions, you have to specify minimum 10 points for the same. You can take different examples to make it clear. So, before we end, there is a revision tour which will cover up that what we have actually covered in this session. In the first part of the session, we have explained the use and the advantages of the having good culture in the organization, and how the culture can be derived and how it can be reflected. It was covered in the later part of the session. Then we focus on to the national culture, corporate culture, organizational culture, that how that culture, organizational culture can be defined. And in the session we have also covered that how the organizational culture is a kind of indicator or predictor towards the capabilities of the organizations. Apart from this, we have also discussed different parameters which can affect the information system of the organizations. Then we have discussed different types of corporate cultures. Apart from this, there was some sort of parameters which will help or participate in the decision making process. Decision making dimensions were covered in today's session. Organization structure was the part in which we have specified that how it is important to specify the line of hierarchy and the line of authority in the organization. Leadership behavior, leadership traits, and at last the different parameters of the member that the members are supposed to have. That was the last topic that we have covered. So with this we are going to finish this session. Thank you.